Dearborn Heights residents. Today we're doing Meet the Directors, and we're here with our city attorney, Mr. Farinha. So welcome to the show, Mr. Farinha.
Thank you, Mayor Bazzi, for inviting me and giving me an opportunity to share what we're doing in our legal department, how we're moving things forward based on your guidance, your directions, and the spirit of the core that you've placed with all our departments and directors, and the challenges you've given us. And I thank you for the opportunity to come forward and help the residents of Dearborn Heights.
Thank you for being here today with us. So I know we did something different, in the last, several years when we brought you on board. Before, we were contracting services to the city, and it was not a full-time attorney. So since you've been on, since we brought you on board, I know you faced a lot of challenges, a lot of issues. So I'd like for you to share some of the challenges and some of the issues that you faced since you became the city attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think one thing when we spoke about taking this position, you said you don't want the same old, same old. You want something that really the lawyers aren't taking from the citizens, but they're giving back. Yeah. So through your initiative and your guidance with me, we were able to do an expungement fair, the first one in the city in 60 years, where we had helped over 220 residents come forward and clear up their criminal record so they can get better jobs, get promotions, get hired. Mm-hmm. We then went on to do a landlord-tenant real estate issues to give some of our residents guidance on landlord issues, tenant issues. We focused on veterans affairs and did a full seminar to help out veterans in the city. We worked on immigration because immigration has come up as an issue across the board for our residents. You said make something that's user-friendly, that people can meet other attorneys. And each panel, we had at least 7 to 8 attorneys coming forward, volunteering their time to help the residents. We also focused on things such as new ordinances. As you said, deal with our poles that were being left by telephone utility poles left all over the city. The residents were complaining for over 4 years, 5 years about. You helped us pass an ordinance to get that up. Our response time of our police officers, we passed an ordinance to really make it more user-friendly. We've put together ordinance on food trucks. We've put together other ordinances on safety for the citizens. But you said that's not enough. And you said, Roger, let's get something that says, you're not taking, but you're giving back to the city. So we proceeded on meeting with all our superintendents, and we've put together 4 ordinances for our schools to use as a resource and resource officers to help with truancy, to help with vaping with marijuana. Used in our middle schools, 11, 12-year-olds. That's a crisis throughout the city. We've looked at thefts, cyberbullying, assault and batteries, a way to have it done in-house and with our judge as a restorative justice diversionary program with Judge Turfy and his assistance and guidance, with our new Chief Hyder, with our new attorney that's come on board, Rima Yafufi. We are proceeding to take that and give back to citizens what they've asked to do. I've admired your bringing the Justice Department into the city to really analyze our police department and what the city can do to be in compliance as the next 21st century police department. And you took the initiative of for a year and a half voluntarily asking them to come us and self-evaluate our process, our procedures. We've revamped the whole city. We've revamped the police department in a way that it's now recruiting, user-friendly to people of different backgrounds, ethnic backgrounds, gender diversity that we want to see off the ground because it gives back to citizens and helps people feel inclusive. And I know when I worked with Detroit, one thing, people would not talk to officers who came in their uniforms per se. They looked the officers to be relatable to them and how they dressed. You took that initiative to really open up our police officers to look like the community, speak like the community, understand the needs of the families, the elderly, the younger people, and that's an initiative that the city never had. We've seen the changes to your initiative, and I'm proud to have the opportunity to step forth and carry forward your dreams and goals for the city.
Well, I mean, I've seen a lot of differences, and that was the first. My objective is to get community policing, and I know the chief and I had that discussion before, and try to get more officers on the road, try to bring in more officers. And I know right now whatever we're budgeted for, we have the officers. But however, we still need more. But our objective, I know you and I talked about this, try to promote within, but we need. We need like good leadership. We need to make sure that our officers are trained, to take on the next step up. And, one of the things that I noticed, we had some of the ordinance officers, speaking of about the police, about the prosecution. Before in the past, they used to bring in a lot of like the ordinance. Even our police officers, they work midnight shift and they force them to stay longer. I know with your leadership, you kind of took on that with the prosecution. You try these cases first, right, so you get these officers to go get some rest, so they're not just sitting for 3-4 hours waiting for their cases.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I think one thing we looked at, and you hit the nail on it when you said the ordinance department and our police officers. Our civil servants, they serve the people. I'm amazed and impressed by how sincere they are in doing their jobs. And the officers would stay if we wanted them to, but the way this previous system was, we took 6 weeks to get the lawyer's discovery. We cut it down to 2 days because you brought in civilians trained to do a job. You brought in civilians trained with records and how to manage that department. And then you helped us streamline the officers coming in and how long they would spend in court to get them in, get their testimony, get them out quickly, which we've been doing. We've been reducing it from 4 hours they would spend in court to half an hour unless they need it for a trial, and not waste their time and cost taxpayers money. And like I said, I think with the ordinance department, that's where the civilians or the citizens meet us without necessarily a criminal overhead, but really quality of life issues with the city. And we made it a priority, which it was not before with the previous corporation councils. It was more of a task or a duty to perform and do. But we realized that's our interaction with the citizens. That's our way to get people to go back and say that, we need to change things. We need to change our behavior, but we're not villains. We are part of a team, and we have to fulfill our part of the team.
So one of the things I know that current events, we talk about current events, the trailer park on Pelham. So I know a lot of residents have voiced concerns, even the people that live in the trailer park, even the surrounding community, about the blight issue. And I know that the city's been having years of issues with that. But since you came on board, this is something that you took on like head to head with their attorneys. I know they've gone through several attorneys. I'd like to, give an update to our residents about that, because, a lot of residents are wondering like what the city's doing. They think this is something that just came up yesterday, but this issue has been going on for at least 5-10 years.
This has been, it goes back to 2006, some of the things with this trailer park. But what happened when the sewer broke and the flooding was damaging the water supply for the entire city, you said enough is enough. And we said enough is enough. And we've gone through 6 attorneys, over 8 managers. And I don't discuss cases in general, but however, the environmental and the impact on the citizens was horrendous. But you also said we're only as strong as our weakest link. Mm-hmm. And if we have people that have, the elderly that have no other means to survive and have substance abuse issues or whatever of that nature, they're our most vulnerable. But we have to care for them. We can't throw them out or just ignore their needs. And we went in, we've brought Eagle, we've brought Lara, we've brought HUD, we've brought other groups in to help the citizens if they need to relocate, to be able to relocate. You said, no, take care of these people because that's my city. They are part of my city. They're not separate. And as legal department, we're like, yes, they need as much protections just like everybody else. Thank you, sir.
No, so I know and I appreciate that this is something that it's very serious. We're going to take care of the issue with slumlords. It's not just the trailer parks, but there's other issues that we're having in the city. But we need residents to actually come up to us and tell us if there's issues with the slumlords. That they, one of the houses that actually I went and I checked. This lady had. She's a single mom. She had. A couple kids, and there was no floorboard in the house. And we got our building department to go to the house, and basically it's like, we went to the owner of the house and say, hey, you got to take care of this house, or the house is going to get condemned. And that's when the resident, or the actual owner, the slumlord, I'm going to call them a slumlord because they are, and shame on them, taking advantage of our residents.
Right.
So, and with your leadership, Mr. Farinha, this is something we need to make sure that any resident that come up to us if there's any issues with their home, and this is something that Mr. Farinha and I were very passionate about, trying to get ordinances to hold these slumlords accountable, that we have to inspect every 3 years. Every house has to get inspected, the rental property.
And I would add, Mr. Mayor, I think you've taken that CDBG monies and you realize, look, this can't just be held by a small group. This has to be open to all of our residents. And you appointed a director that's user-friendly, that's receptive, that's young, that's vibrant, and says, how can I solve it? How can I help? And not how can you help me, but how can I help my residents? Yeah. And that's your choice, your selection of leadership. You've moved your DPW director to be user-friendly, to get out there and get on the scene all hours of the week, and then we've had calls. Your fire chief, your police chief, you've taken the directors to a new level, and you hold them accountable to really make a difference to the citizens. Not what can the citizens do for them, but what are they going to do for the citizens?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Farinha.
Thank you, sir.
And I know that residents are always wondering. I get calls, they want to know who you are. And I appreciate you. I know a lot of residents, they appreciate you and all your knowledge, what you bring to the city. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you, sir, for the opportunity.
And appreciate you. And again, for the residents, stay tuned for the next, episode, meet the director. But if you have any issues, with the city, like you need something legal, please, reach out to us and we'll try to do whatever we can to help you. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.